Promoting and advocating for strong, accessible healthcare within the community is an essential component of public healthcare systems. The work of essential workers is absolutely remarkable as they play a key role in maintaining population health and providing the community with a better quality of living. With all the current controversy surrounding the working conditions of essential workers, it is important to understand different perspectives. This is the case of Susan McMyers, who is a personal support worker for Gavin Living Industries. Susan has been a support worker for over 10 years and continuously provides an excellent level of care, which is indicated by her workplace reviews. Susan works to support children and teens ages 5 to 21 years old who are living with intellectual disabilities. Her goal is to improve their overall interactions within the community and their quality of living. Some of the participants that Susan works with have limited mobility, meaning that they are assisted with a wheelchair. As a part of the company policy, it is standard practice that a support worker cannot assist a single participant for more than 4 weeks in a wheelchair. This is in order to protect their workers' health and safety regulations. The reason for such is because activities of the day can be strenuous on the back, as the support workers are going with participants on and off buses and into different environments, including activities such as hiking or bowling. This can be strenuous physical activity on the back, which is why the 4 week rule is in place. Due to limited staffing this past year, Susan was told to support a participant in a wheelchair far past the 4 week rule. She began feeling pain within her lower and upper back, which made it hard for her to do simple activities, such as getting out of a chair. When she spoke to her direct supervisors, they made remarks such as, "Oh, that's rough," or "Power through the day, buddy," and proceeded to not report the incident. Susan was not the only one, as multiple staff employees complained about back pain. One day, Susan took matters into her own hands and posted photos on Facebook of her working alongside the participants she works with. It is company policy that confidentiality is maintained and photos are not taken with participants who are minors and also living with intellectual disabilities without consent from their guardians. She also continued to post on Facebook highlighting some key workplace and safety issues she was experiencing within the company. Some posts include details about her work with an individual in a wheelchair for 9 weeks and her extreme back pain. She ranted about the poor management and also used statements such as, "I would never want my kids to work at a place like this." The company decided it was time for an evaluation of the scenario and is hiring outside help from the MMASC cohort.
Personal support workers are expected to provide high-quality services to individuals under their care. They're expected to employ appropriate health and safety measures in a work environment in which they're practicing. They must ensure that their work activities are within the limits of their knowledge, experience, and skill, which must be aligned with the defined professional responsibilities of PSWs or personal support workers. They must also respect the rights and the dignity of all individuals for whom they provide care and support. Members must, as far as they're able, protect the physical and mental health of all individuals for whom they provide care and support for. However, this is not reciprocated for personal support workers. There is a growing evidence that organizational practices impact occupational health and safety. Lack of organizational support is shown in many Ontario Health Coalition and news reports. One report found that many PSWs were leaving the field after being overworked, underpaid, burnt out, or injured. One CBC News report named Overworked and Undervalued a Crisis for Personal Support Workers conducted a survey. Nearly 80 PSWs in Greater Sudbury answered. 54% of them said they've been injured while at work. The survey also showed that many PSWs deal with safety issues, heavy workload, and verbal abuse. The Canadian Union of Public Employees say more than 20,000 PSWs are actually needed right now, mainly in the long-term care sector. Before COVID-19, Canada did not have enough personal support workers. This life-threatening shortage is the result of long ignored retention and recruitment obstacles. Therefore, finding solutions to mitigate the challenges personal support workers face is extremely crucial to the economy of Canada. Several recommendations within the reports were directed towards decision makers in the Canadian government. One solution is to create a PSW regulatory college, like those of nurses and physicians, which would serve as the governing body for PSWs, establishing PSW standards of practice and practicing and making members' professional obligations clear. This would help many firms understand what's in scope and what is out of scope for PSWs, helping companies become more understanding towards the needs of the personal support workers. Research has also shown that organizations that provide a climate of safety, defined as unified set of cognition held by the workers regarding the safety aspects of their organizations, are more likely to reduce the incidence of occupational accidents and injuries. Safety training, for example, to the extent of which training is accessible, relevant, and comprehensive, are also solutions that can be looked into to promote occupational safety.
So from a media outlet perspective, the Facebook post that Suzanne McMyers posted sharing her feelings about her job violates the privacy and consent form she signed when she was hired for the job. As a personal support worker who was working with children under the age of 18, photos of children can only be posted with the consent of their legal guardian, which she did not have. Furthermore, in her post, she talks very negatively about the organization and ends by discouraging others from working there as well. From the organization's perspective, they can take legal action against Suzanne on the grounds of defamation, as well as breaking her contract, which states that employees are not permitted to discuss work matters outside the company due to privacy concerns. Considering the negative tone of her post and the fact that within 2 hours the post received a lot of engagement from the public, with 2,000 comments and 65,000 views, this could also have a very damaging effect on the organization. Another issue with the post is the language that Suzanne uses while expressing her feelings. Phrases such as "these disabled kids" or "kids in a wheelchair" instead of "kids living with a disability" and "kids being assisted by a wheelchair" show a lack of respect that she has for the children she is assisting and can also be viewed as offensive by the public. So from the company's perspective, hiring an employee who talks about the people they support in this manner can also have a negative effect on them, as it suggests that the people they hire may be tone deaf and insensitive. And these phrases she uses perpetuates negative stereotypes about people living with disabilities and can be used as an example of the type of work environment that is at Gavin's Living Industries. So although the health and regulation concerns that Suzanne McMyers poses are valid, it is clear that the way in which she has decided to handle the situation can further be exasperated and have negative ramifications on her future. So this can be the loss of employment, being blacklisted from other personal support organizations, and legal action taken against her by her company. So as an employee working in Ontario and under the Occupational Health and Safety Act, the OHSA, Suzanne must first report her concern with her employer. So under the OHSA, employers and supervisors must take every precaution reasonable in the circumstance for the protection of the worker. So another option could also be to report to her organization's Joint Health and Safety Committee, also known as JHSC. So in which case, she can discuss the issue with them and they can recommend a solution to her employer. And so by doing this, her employer would be required to provide a written response to any written recommendations from the JHSC or health and safety representatives within 21 days of the concern being reported. And if her employer agrees with the recommendations, the response by the employer must include a timetable of when they plan to implement the solution. And if they disagree with the recommendation, the response must explain why. So if at this point Suzanne still feels that the situation has not been corrected, she can then file a complaint with the Ontario Labour Relations Board, in which a further investigation will be conducted.
The case will further discuss the perspective of Gavin Living Industries, the responsible employer, and how they can resolve the situation. As personal support workers, we agree with the claims and accusations made by Susan Meyer and the difficulties personal support workers endure during their time at Gavin Living Industries.
Susan Myers, in her post, specifically informed her audience of key safety and health issues that needed to be taken in consideration to maintain the mental and physical well-being of their staff. Burnout is a notorious issue for workers in the field and a major contributor to its often cited turnover problem. According to Healthforce Ontario, 50% of PSWs in the healthcare sector stay for fewer than 5 years, with 43% listing burnout due to short staffing as their primary factor for leaving. Turnover is highest for part-time and casual positions, which account for 48% and about 11% of PSWs in the province, respectively. Staff members can agree that PSW staffing shortages within the Gavin Living Industries were already worsening in the years preceding the pandemic. Inadequate funding and labor force restructuring have resulted in crushing workloads. Insufficient staffing and increasing violence have contributed to untenable rates of injury amongst healthcare staff. The organization had provided a rule where staff cannot assist a single participant for more than 4 weeks in a wheelchair to protect the workers' health and safety regulations. The reason for such is because the activities of the day can be strenuous on the back, as support workers are going with participants on and off buses and into different environments such as hiking or bowling. However, due to extreme staffing shortages, many individuals have been put for more than 4 weeks at a time, putting extreme mental and physical stresses on our bodies. Staff members are furious on the working conditions that PSWs are set to create. The staff at Gavin Living had addressed their concerns on working conditions to upper management on many occasions. However, concerns were always taken down and passed to the next individual. Staff at the organization feel neglected, overwhelmed, and unheard. With Susan making the post that she had, it brought up to light some of the issues experienced by PSWs. However, the post regarding the concerns could have been made better to legally protect the privacy of the children posed in the picture. Being under the age of 18, Susan must have consented with their legal guardians prior to posting her post. According to Ontario's Personal Support Workers Association Code of Conduct, support workers protect patients' trust by acting with integrity and protecting their patients' personal information. Susan has failed in doing so.
Now we'll discuss this case from the perspective of Gavin Living Industries, the responsible company, and how they could resolve the situation. First off, Gavin Living Industries is a non-profit provincial association that has been advocating for people who have an intellectual disability and their families for over 65 years. We are advocates for over 80,000 people across Ontario, supporting an average of 200 families annually, and engaged with over 1,300 youths in 2021. Our work is precious and thus prioritize the staff to ensure the work will continue. However, a report in 2021 by Ontario Health Coalition called the lack of personal support workers in the province a crisis. Even though we are experiencing a staff shortage and know how this impacts the staff work, we are not alone in this problem. Following many centers such as the Independent Living Center of Waterloo Region, we constantly are hiring and recruiting, looking for more employees to make a difference and impact individuals and their community. Until we can increase our staff, we will focus on balancing work shifts to reflect our standard of practice. This will involve creating a more robust scheduling system following the Rafaela classification system. Nurses use this system in hospitals across Europe to allow personnel resources to balance the patient caring needs and take a volume-based approach where measures in workload determine patient counts. Adapting the system where the nursing intensity is recorded will improve monitoring the balance between staff members. However, if all members have worked a 4-week wheelchair shift, 2 staff members will alternate taking care of the individual for 4 weeks. This will help lower the strain on the staff and ensure all staff members are balancing the workload. We are aware of the strain placed on the lower back and will also implement weekly training sessions to ensure protocols are followed to minimize the strain.
After viewing the multiple perspectives in the scenario, including staff, company, media, and health and safety viewpoints, it is concluded that both parties, the employee Susan and the company Gavin Living Industries, are at fault. Initially, Gavin Living Industries was seen to be at fault since they are subjecting their staff to harmful practices which are outside of the standard practice adopted by most companies. According to the Occupational Health and Safety Act, employers are responsible for maintaining health and safety, with senior management bearing most of the responsibility. Additionally, the Occupational Health and Safety Act states that a workplace with a robust health and safety culture is a reflection of the respect it has for their employees. Therefore, in this scenario, Gavin Living Industries subjected its employees to a poor culture of health and safety since their workers did not feel comfortable to approach them on the matter. While the fault initially lied with the company, it now also lies with Susan due to her course of action to address the issue. Susan took to social media to address her concerns about working with individuals assisted by wheelchairs for a prolonged time, resulting in back pains. While her concerns and complaints were valid, she chose an unethical way to express her complaints. Taking to social media to express her concerns and posting images of participants to support her complaints is not only unprofessional, it is also unethical. In work settings, it is deemed professional to voice concerns to those in the chain of command as a reflection of trust. Posting to social media to voice her concerns is unprofessional since it may seem like she is breaching the Gavin Living Industries trust. Additionally, posting images on social media of the participants to support their claim is also unethical. According to Ontario's Personal Support Workers Association Code of Conduct, support workers protect patients' trust by acting with integrity and protecting their patients' personal information. This includes not using social media to share their information. However, Susan did not uphold this code of conduct since she resorted to social media to express her complaints, resulting in a breach of confidentiality. Ideally, the individual would have reported to her supervisor about her complaints regarding health and safety regulations. The supervisor should have taken responsibility and remedied the issue. If the supervisor ignored the employee's complaint, Susan should have complained to human resources, and hopefully through that the solution would have been solved.